Alright, today I'm doing a video on upgrading my stock axle shafts from these plastic ones to the new MIP X-Duties. As you can see, they're a lot thicker, a lot better metal, stronger. These, as you can see, I've got some wear on them on the ends here. They're starting to twist a little bit. A friend of mine's been breaking his, and before I end up breaking mine with my stock setup and my 3S battery with the Valinian, decided I should probably upgrade. So we got the MIP axles, come in a nice package, and I'll tear into them and show you what comes in the package. Alright, so in the bag comes a thing that comes with it. The grease, the blue thread gel, which is basically your Loctite, a couple of MIP stickers, a basic instruction sheet of what to do, where things go. So as long as you can generally see how things are supposed to go together by this, it doesn't give you any directions for actually putting it together. 2 inner and outer shafts, the ball ends, all 4 of the ball ends, a package of all the extra parts that need to go into it. These are for your wheel locks, and these are for all the parts on the inside of the axles. So I'll go ahead and get these out and start assembling the axles. Alright, now that I've got all the parts out here, you'll notice that it comes with new nuts for your wheels. I prefer not to use these particular nuts just for the fact they don't have a nice flange on them like the stock ones do. I prefer the nice stock flanges for putting the wheels on. It just tends to work a little better for keeping the wheels on. They've also got the locking grooves on them to help hold the wheel and everything in place. So we'll put those to the side for now. Get the other one here. Alright, now for the set grub screws. I'll grab one of my kits here. You will see there are 2 different types. This one here, I don't know how good my camera's gonna be nice to me here, of actually showing the closeness here. This one here has got a nice little nub. That's going to go for your inside. The one sitting next to it, these are the locking ones for the insides of the axle tubes as to where they flex, which would be in here. As you see, they flex around. These pins here go through the centers of here and there, along with these. There's a hole right in the center, and as you see on these pins, there is a flat spot for that small one to set against to keep it in place. Now on these here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, there's threads on one side, and I'm sorry for the quality of my phone. And you flip it over to the other side, and there are no threads. So you got to make sure to get the set screws in the threaded side in order to lock them in place. So now we will start working on getting these put together. Alright, so now we'll start doing some prep work here. I separated everything out. We will start with these. I'm using my toolkit from Dynamite. It's an excellent investment. I definitely recommend it because you can get, with the handle, it will go all the way into your dual-sided from one end to the other, or you can go for a full length for a longer reach if need be. So Basically what I'm doing here is putting my tip into each one of these. Goes into a little bit of the blue thread locker that came in the kit. You don't need a whole lot because you're going to be doing a lot of these, and they'll hold in place. Hard to do one-handed here. Alright, and these go and thread into these here. You don't need to thread it all the way, just enough to get it started. And you'll do that to every one of them. Alright, so I've put them into every one of these. They're all installed. So now we're going to move on to these guys here with the studs. And these, as you see, do the same thing, get a little Loctite on them. And as you see in the directions here, these go in the ball end to hold into the axle stub of the drive axle once you actually go to put it into your slash in the bottom. So these go right in here. One in each side. As you see, there's one for that side and one for that side. So I'll get all these set. Don't put them all the way down because that will interfere when you go to actually install them on the axle shaft to lock them in place.
I have to push.
Oh, we're all good. Okay. Now we take our stub axle here. One of these guys here that we preset. These go right in here. There will be a hole. You gotta make sure to have that hole visible because the little bar pin right here goes into that hole, and you have to make sure that the flat spot goes towards the set when you put it together. So you will get that one put on there, and the set is towards me. So when I grab the pin, I gotta make sure my set is towards me. Ease it down through all of it. And then you gotta make sure you're visible. And then you lock it down. And you do that on both of the sides on this one, and you do it for the same on the front. The long stubs are built the exact same. And then once I get these built, we'll continue on.
Okay. I'll take
Alright, now I've got them built. So now it's time. These are the rears, so I'm not ready to actually install those yet. But I've already installed one on the front, so I will show you how to install these on the front, and the rear will be very, very similar. Alright, so we're going to be removing this stud for the upper turnbuckle. I'm going to go ahead and remove the shock for ease of watching. You can definitely fight if you like to take the axle out, but for videoing purposes it'd make it much easier to actually take stuff out of the way. So with no further ado, I'm going to take a few things off and we'll continue on. Alright, so as you see, I've taken the shock off for ease. I've taken this one out. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this one off. take this off. Just comes off with a screwdriver and a pop, and ease that off. This is the old hex, which I'm sure many of you have replaced. Take the pin out. There's a little washer to the inside here. And when you do the repair, you can just take this one out. And be able to pull this out. You can normally just lift this out of the way, but I've went ahead and taken the other side off so we can get it completely out of the way. Once you take that loose, you can generally pull this down and push the axle out. Just like that. And you can slide the axle off the inner shaft. Make sure not to lose this bearing, because you'll need to reuse that. Now for the inside here. We'll spin the differential. To where you can get your tool in here onto your set screw. This one. Right there. And then we'll take it off.
You want me to take it off?
Nope.
Okay.
So this is why I prefer this set, because as you see, I'm running a long length down to my shaft. That's why I prefer this dynamite set versus some others. Alright, it's loose. Sometimes it'll come out with the screwdriver, which this one it didn't. So you take your handy dandy little needle nose, you can grab your set screw, put it off to the side. Then you can pull your axle out. Now you're set to go with your new stuff. So now we take our shaft. Back over here, Fiddle. And there's two sides, so you want to make sure that both sides of your set screws face the hole on your differential. That way they'll set. Right there. And I got one a little bit too deep. Tighten one side down, and make sure to get to the other one and tighten it down as well. Then you'll take your other shaft, put it in this wind. Actually, I want you to take the grease and grease your shafts. That way they can slide in and out real easy. Alright, now that bearing we took off earlier, come on kiddo, needs to go on the shaft, and this will go back on through there. Then your set up hex keyed set screw make sure it goes onto your flat part. One side's taller than the other. The taller side towards the middle goes towards your bearing. Make sure you're all tight together. Tighten it down. And then in the reverse order, you'll put on,
Make sure I get that.
put on your camber link. And if you haven't taken it off as far as I have, you are basically done. That would be on there. You're installed, put your wheels on, and away you go. Now I get to finish up the rest of my car, so hopefully this has helped some of you guys out there. And if you have any questions, feel free.